Hey, gang, welcome to yet another fantastic Patreon page. Time with Kevin and Kevin. Hey, Kev, what's up, buddy? What's going on?
What's happening,
Oh, man.
guys and guy and everybody, ladies and whoever else is listening? And I don't know words, but here we are.
Oh boy, it's been a hoot nanny. Let's kick it off with you. What have you watched recently? Let's hear some recommendations and some avoid at all costs.
I watched a movie called Dog. It features Channing Tatum and a dog, a gorgeous Belgian Malinois. It's a story about a former Army Ranger who has to transport one of his fallen brothers' military dogs across the country, and he suffers from PTSD. And it's a feel good movie that pulls at your heartstrings a little bit. Look, a lot of you've probably seen my dogs on screen. I'm a sucker for dogs. I'm a sucker for dog movies. If you put a dog in a movie, if I was giving it a rating, it'll immediately jump up by 0.5. And this movie really, the dog is amazing. Belgian Malinois, if you don't know about them, they're incredible military and police dogs, and they're very trainable. Dog's amazing. Channing Tatum did actually a really good job as a soldier suffering with PTSD, and just he did a good job in the movie. The plot itself was kind of predictable. If you saw the trailer, you probably saw a lot of the best parts of the movie. There is a surprise cameo by Kevin Nash. That is Diesel from the WWE. He pops up. It took me a minute to realize it was him because he got old, but he's still enormous. But overall, it was a fun watch. It was good enough. Channing did a good job. The dog was great. Always dogs are always good. So I would have probably given it a 5, but for the dog, I'm going to give it a 5.5.
5.5. So Turner and Hooch must be at least a 7.5 for you.
Oh man, I love Turner and Hooch. That dog, that's a French Mastiff. I wanted one of those for so long, but I'm deathly allergic to them. But yeah, I'll watch Turner and Hooch all day long.
I've never heard of that Belgian dog in my life. I've never heard of that model. There's actually an Akita we have in our development, the Japanese police dog. Those things are ugly, and I heard they're ferocious. So
They are very strong.
yeah, I keep my daughter away, but he seems pretty friendly. But they have a
Good idea.
baby. They have a baby, and yeah, I know how my sister's boxer is when they have the kids around. So I'm not gonna fuck with an Akita. No, thank you. I have watched several
Belgian
things.
Malinois, sorry to cut you off. The interesting thing about them, they can apparently be taught 2,000 words, like commands, and they know what the word means. They're incredibly intelligent. Anyway, I'm a dog geek. Go on.
I wonder how much they cost because we're gonna get a dog as soon as we get out of here.
A
So,
lot.
oh really? Oh, okay. As long as you're
Yeah.
good with kids. Kevin, when we talk about movies we watch, whenever I get on a Netflix jag, and as I mentioned before, I don't give a shit. I still get the Netflix DVDs because they have a better library than the online shit, and I have to sit through those awful Netflix, excuse me, films that you do. So I go on a jag. I've watched a couple '80s films that I remember seeing the posters for as a kid in the theater, and I said I'll get to them eventually. Well, it's now eventually. There is a film, I think it's 1984, called Tank. James Garner. It's
I
about
loved Tank.
yeah.
I loved that movie as a kid.
Yeah, and I watched it as an adult, so you know the story. It's an army guy rescues his son from a corrupt southern sheriff in a tank. This is
Sherman
pure,
Tank.
yeah, Sherman tank, pure '80s fuckery
Yeah.
and nonsense. This movie is fucking terrible. It's
Oh, it didn't
awful.
hold up. God damn it.
Oh man, I never saw it. I had it on the background. I was doing stuff. If I was just watching it, just nothing else, but I would have turned it off. It gets so weird. I mean, do you remember the part? Do you remember why he had a problem with the sheriff? Because he hit
In
he
bar
hit,
fight with a cop, right?
yeah, you know why? Because the cop had a prostitute that he was talking
Prostitute,
to,
right?
but he wasn't fucking her. And then he hits the guy for hitting the guy. He goes, but that's my whore. I'm like, what kind of shit is going on? And then the parents, the kid and the mom go, your daddy was with the whore, but he wasn't banging her. And then the whore gets in the tank and goes cross fucking state lines with them. It's so
That and
bad.
the end though, with the tug of war.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Well, you'll figure out
I
where.
love that. That's what you watched.
Well, ready for the next one? You ever see the movie Gotcha with Gilbert from Revenge of the Nerds, Anthony Edwards?
I don't think so.
I saw this all the time advertised on cable at like 3 in the morning. I never taped it. I'm like, all right, gotcha. Let's do it. It's about a college kid who plays in like a league or whatever on his plays paintball game on campus that's called Gotcha.
Oh, Gotcha that was the name of the commercialized paintball guns.
What?
That was a line when we
Oh,
were
what?
kids. They
I
were
don't remember
Gotcha
that.
guns.
I don't
Yeah,
remember
they were
that.
paintballs.
Wow. We we're not allowed to have that. We had laser tag and photon.
Yeah.
So Gotcha. By the way, another thing in the 80s we talked about in RoboCop that we did not talk about here, they would always well, not always, yeah, not always. They would take the title of the film and then weave a theme song about it. And they did one for Gotcha. And it's bad. It's like a cocktail waitress singer trying to belt out Gotcha. It's terrible. So he goes, of course, the story is he goes to Europe with his buddy, and then he meets Linda Fiorentino, who is a spy. Again, pure horseshit 80s fuckery with just a cavalcade of that doesn't happen. It's fucking terrible. Both those films are 2 out of 10. Now, here come 2 that are actually good. Next one's called Until the Wheels Come Off. It's the Tony Hawk documentary on Netflix. It's a great watch. If you don't know Tony Hawk, what rock are you living under? It's a great story. It's fun. 7 out of 10. I also watched King Richard, the story of Venus's and Serena's militaristic father, where Will Smith does Tim Meadows, the ladies' man character, for 2.5 hours accent. It's good. I'll never watch it again. 6.5 out of 10.
I agree.
You've seen it as well.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Ha, zing.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's terrible. Movie news. I think that Hollywood is hell bent on making 2022 the worst year for films. Here's why. They've now pushed another film that I was dying to see this year to next year. What film is that? Spider-Verse Part 2 comes out now in June of 2023 instead of October of this year. My daughter loves Spider-Verse. We were watching that shit Friday, and it's damn good. And now they booted it to next year. Sons of bitches. Very disappointing. Kevin Israel, what movie news do you have?
So there's a movement online and a petition to recast Star-Lord because Chris Pratt is taking some shit. He's been taking some shit for a while because he's apparently a devout Christian, and he belongs to a church whose leader said some anti-LGBTQ stuff at some point. And look, I am in no way endorsing anybody saying anything bad about anyone. But Chris Pratt came out and he said, I support people. If you love somebody, be with them. I support love. Love should be how it is. And people are still going after him and think he should be recast and should canceled over this because he knows somebody who said something bad. This has got to stop. Look, everything forever I've heard about Chris Pratt, he's a nice guy. He hasn't said anything bad about anybody. If he came out and he said some really terrible LGBTQ stuff, or was actively campaigning against them, fine, get rid of him. He's not. He's apparently a nice guy. He just happens to go to church. Cancel everybody because you happen to know an asshole.
Your phone. Is your phone by the microphone again? Yes, it was.
If we cancel everybody because you happen to know an asshole, we're all going to be canceled.
Yeah.
Like it's got to stop. He's great as Star-Lord. And now people are like, oh, well, he wasn't a good Star-Lord ever. That's bullshit.
Stop it.
You liked him years ago when he came out. I mean, just leave it alone. Chris Pratt just leave it alone.
The witch mom's got to stop just because you don't agree with somebody. And they didn't say anything. That's the worst part about it. There is no smoking gun. Cut the bullshit. Yuck. And I'm not even a Guardians of the Galaxy fan. I don't like the films. They're fine. He's good in it. Onward and upward. Let's see. Where are we now? How about some movie quotes from you? What do you have?
I have. Don't you tell me which zone is for loading and which zone is for stopping.
Airplane.
Yeah. Yes. Listen, I love that scene, and I don't know if they do those announcements in airports as much anymore, but they did. And it was hysterical listening to 2 airport announcers get into an argument that's clearly there's some undertone, and they end up having an argument about abortion because they're in a relationship. The way that whole scene devolves is amazing. But that line, every time I would hear any kind of announcement in a PA system, I would always go, "Don't you tell me about the red zone or the loading zone." Just it stuck in my head. That movie is one quotable moment after another. It's so great. But that one is actually one that I would say because it just always stuck in my mind.
Yeah. No, Ted, I'm not going to have that abortion you want me to have.
Well, it's the responsible thing to do.
No, the white phone. Film is 46 years old. It's older than we are, and it's
That's
still
crazy. Fucking
perfect.
flawless.
Yeah, no doubt. Are you the god of hammers or the god of lightning?
It's great. That's a great one.
Thor Ragnarok. Anytime someone ever pulls out a hammer, that's the first thing out of my mouth. Or says something about a hammer, or they have a hammer in their hand. I say that. By the way, we actually didn't talk about this. I'm going to go in the minority. I don't think that new Thor trailer is all that captivating. It didn't grab me. I'll see it. I'll be there opening day because Ragnarok is so fucking great, and Taika Waititi did a great job with the last one. I'm there. I just the first trailer. I'm not. Yes. I'm like, all right.
I agree with you. I think it was first of all, it was a teaser. Second of all,
Right.
I think a lot of these next few Marvel movies coming out, they're going to be working really hard not to reveal a lot that happens in the movies because there's so much important shit that's going to happen. And in the end, the whole movie was just building up to showing her as Thor, almighty Thor. So that was like everybody's just waiting for that moment, and then it happened, and it was like, okay, there she is. And that's I agree with you. It didn't make me fall out of my seat, but I'm gonna be there opening night too.
Yeah, without a question. What about you? Quote. Oh, you did the quote. Sorry. Let's wrap up with that doesn't happen, and then we're gonna go harken right back to Tank, where you stole my fucking thunder again. Thunder. Huh? That Tank, that movie is it's a complete like a bank of open mic fuckery screenwriting. But when they were making a run for the border and the cops have a barricade and the townsfolk want to see the tank get across the border to the state line, but the cops have shotguns and automatic weapons and hillbillies, but a biker gang runs across an open field to hook the tank, which is stuck in mud, while the town people pull the tank out of the mud, as you aptly said, a tug of war. Have you had enough? That just doesn't fucking happen. All the horse shit. And again, I know it's 84. If I would have saw it maybe when I was in the theater when it came out when I was 8, I'd be like, all right, sure. But there were a lot of adult. By the way, very rampant racism on the sheriff's part. He calls. By the way, the black sheriff is Benny the cab driver from Total Recall. He's like, all right, Sambo, you won this one. I go, holy shit, really?
Wow.
Oh. But then you see the Confederate flags in the background. You're like, oh, okay, so this is where we are still. Okay, all right, noted. That's that. But that whole film was just a big barrel of like, oh, shut the fuck up. That's not even that doesn't happen. Go ahead with you.
You ever notice that in car chases and movies, nobody ever runs out of gas? All those car chases, all that time, especially the long ones, nobody happened to be low on gas. I drive around most of the time at a quarter tank. Why? Because I'm a procrastinator and I always forget to put gas in my tank. I've run so close to empty. I've run out of gas a few times. Not recently, thankfully. My car has a gas light, a little bell that goes off. It has a meter that tells me how much gas I have. And then it tells me how far I have to go. I have 4 things telling me, and I still have run out of gas. And nobody in a car chase has ever run out of gas before.
Good point.
And I find that almost statistically impossible. That doesn't happen.
I had 2 cars with broken gas gauges, so I'd write the mileage down and try and do the math. And boy, I got burned. This is when Kevin was working at Chili's, for Christ's sakes. And in high school too. So Kevin ran out of gas at least twice. And one time I was so close. I was on the exit ramp, like the above ramp on the turnpike, like around exit, I don't know, 10 or 11. And I was speeding. Like, I'm going to fucking get there on fumes if I have to. And the cop pulls me at the top of the overpass where the exit is to get on where the Roy Rogers rest stop is. He goes, I'm like, I'm speeding. I know. I'm like, I'm about to run out of gas. He looks at my gas thing. He goes, all right, man, good luck. I go, don't leave. Just stay behind me in case. He goes like, you can coast. You'll be fine if you can coast, but I'll give you a tap from the back if you need it. And I coasted in there and got gas. But yeah,
That's amazing.
But yeah, I haven't come close to running out of gas. But that's funny that you're a car guy still. Really,
I know. I'm an asshole.
White knuckle that shit to the bitter end.
100%.
All right, kids, that does it for this week's Patreon. Thank you so much. And again, tell your friends, patreon.com/GTSE. More importantly, guttingthesacredcow.com, guttingthesacredcow@gmail.com. Thanks for subscribing and listening to the podcast. Kevin Israel and I can't thank you enough. Take care.